Good evening, everyone. Forgive the lighting, forgive the poor quality of the video, but it occurs to me that I got to take the gloves off because I haven't been adequately expressing my absolute contempt for modern boat design and just the state of the cruising scene as it is. It's like a bad joke. It really is. I mean, if aliens ever came down, which I don't believe in aliens, but say they came down, they'd just start laughing or crying, to see the state of us down here. Seriously. I mean, the boats that most people are floating around in, and I include this one because this design could be so much more. I did this on a shoestring budget. I did it without knowing very much. And fortunately, I found one of the best designs of the time and was able to recognize it as such, given the experience I already had gathered. But 22 years later, 22 years after dropping in the water and having had the time to contemplate boat design, it occurs to me just how much more we could have. I mean, you guys have heard the phrase, what is a boat? It's a hole in the water that you throw your money into. And in so many cases, that is absolutely true. I mean, if you're following any of these sailing channels, most of them are going broke. They can't keep the thing out of the yard. They're having disasters right and left. And I'm actually starting to think it's like a conspiracy just to keep people off the water. I know that's probably not true, but it's really ridiculous. The modern boat design is just a farce. You should be able to anchor your boat anywhere. You should be able to put your boat on the beach. You should be able to actually drive your boat down the road and drive your boat to your wherever, to a trailer park. There's no reason these features couldn't be designed into a boat today. I mean, if you just look at what everybody was sailing around in 1,000 years ago, it makes what we have today look like crap. Just complete crap. Our ancestors were able to build seafaring trimarans from just what they could find at the next island. They could make their sails out of what was available hanging in the palm trees. They could make their resin from the sap from trees. You know, they could whoop together their own lines from various fibers they found. Coconut, for example, and what we have now is just like a giant sponge that sucks the money out of sailors. Anybody attempting to live a free lifestyle out at sea, and it's a disgrace. It's just a disgrace. Anyway, I had to go on that rant and get that off my chest. I'll probably. I know I sound arrogant and like an asshole, but that's just the way I feel about it. And I think, I'm 62 now. I've been sailing. I started sailing when I was 7. I really got into it in my very early 20s. I did a lot of kayaking, thousands of miles of kayaking, and mostly in a sailing kayak because I quickly figured out that I was going to have to get the wind's help if I wanted to make some serious passages. And yeah, I think I perhaps am the only person to have sailed across the United States, and I did that twice in my own design, and I did that on a shoestring budget. I basically built that craft with just junk that I found laying around. Um, In total, I spent like $600 to build an amphibious vehicle and I really can't talk about even anything about my life without talking about the women that have supported me throughout, because I really wouldn't be here and be much of anything if it wasn't for the fabulous women that have been a part of my life. Uh, so I'm really getting off the topic of my contempt for yacht design, but that's all right. Um, yeah, I was on a totally different trajectory and would have never landed here if it wasn't for my first true love. Because I was well on my way to being a stockbroker or something like that. I had, straight out of college, I took a job as a financial planner for a investment firm, and got pretty good at for a while selling their financial uh, products, their investment vehicles, mostly tax sheltered annuities for 401k people, that group, and life insurance. Did really well, and I was just kind of going along, following the program, and one day my beautiful, compassionate, wild girlfriend looked at me with those giant, sad, beautiful eyes of hers and said, "Look at you, man. You're getting fat and you're stressed out. Is this really the life you want?" And she begged me to take her on a trip to Mexico, and that's what we did. And we ended up living there for like 5 years. Changed my whole perspective. And we spent our first year just living on the beach out of a VW camper van. A friend of mine sent me away with like what he considered the 120 best books ever written, and I read all those books. That really helped to change my perspective on things. And yeah, that didn't work out because I was kind of we just weren't on the same wavelength, emotionally speaking. I was kind of very even keeled, and she was like a roller coaster, and in the end, it just was too much friction, and we had to part ways. But then I married another amazing woman, and without her, I would never have been inspired to build my own home. It was with her inspiration and help that I designed and we built a home in northern Idaho, again on a shoestring budget. We put that house together for $7,500, and with the price of the land and the price of the well, the whole endeavor cost us $13,500. We had her built in about 14 months, but that didn't work out either. And she left me. We had our own trouble there toward the end, but she left me for another man. It was very heartbreaking. And anyway, she did leave me with that house, so I can't complain too much because she was a huge help gathering rocks and doing rock work and peeling trees. Yeah, we built that house with 4 tools. I'm not kidding you. We built it with like a hammer axe, a chisel, a saw, and a big handsaw and a chainsaw. That was like for the first year, and then I finally, got around to getting a drill. I had to put together a little solar system. But yeah, it's an off-the-grid home, and it's a great place. I still have it. It's still there in Idaho, and I haven't been back to it, but for one day in the last 5 years, due to the COVID business, I swore off flying. So that's a whole nother story. Where are we at time-wise? Can I keep going? Because, I can only post 15-minute videos. And it looks like we're 9 minutes and 30 seconds in. But yeah, boat design, it sucks. Your yacht sucks big time, most likely. Obviously, not all of your yachts suck, because I've been getting some comments from some people whose yachts don't suck. It's great to hear from you. It's great to be gathering my people. I needed to do this channel just so we could find a place for each other. You know, in fact, I thought earlier today that we need a theme song. I'll play it for you in our next, because I found one. I know our theme song, people. You probably know what it is too. Comment if you know the song that expresses our mentality. You know, the best. Anyway, it is late. I should be in bed. You know. Yeah, I know. I'm concerned about my hair again. What can I do about it? It's always just out of control. Yeah, really. I'm not kidding when I say we should be able to just drive our boat right up onto the street and keep going. That was my original plan. And I had it together. I had it going. Traveled across America twice in it. Up into Canada, down to the end of the Baja. And it was great. If you've never sailed down the highway, you haven't lived. Seriously, it's like the funnest thing you could possibly do. So fun. And over the years, because I did that like 30 years ago, and over the years I've been improving that design, coming up with many different iterations, many different types of rigs. I even had that little baby foiling for a while. Not too practical though, given the overall design principle, what it's supposed to achieve, because it was just too much extra shit. And yeah, that brings me to another point. You know, the direction that these yachts are heading right now is so foolish with these foiling high-speed giant trimarans or cats. You know, this is not sustainable, and it's not intelligent. And I don't even know how these things are making it around the world. I know they're chopping so much sea life to bits. You know, I mean, even in this boat, you have to be careful. We ran into a whale. We ran right up onto a big whale in the Baja. And I know those things go in 40 knots with these carbon fiber knives tearing through the water, or chopping turtles in half, and, you know, dolphins in two. I mean, the carnage, I am sure. Yeah, but it's not sustainable. And that shit in most places, these foils, you know, because I had foils on my nettle ship. And I was trying to foil around in the bay there by Port Townsend. And all I could do was collect kelp. You know, there's no way I was going to get up foiling. Nobody's talking about the problems with these foils. It's certainly not going to ever get incorporated into the independent cruiser's lifestyle. Unless you're just some kind of marine serial killer. And then, yeah. And that might be the direction it's all heading. You know, because everybody seems to be getting more crazy. I'm glad I live out here on the sea, because there's no craziness happening out here. In fact, Novi and I just sailed from Thailand to America, over to Acapulco, through the Pacific, through Indonesia, all through Indonesia. Now we're sailing through Malaysia. And we haven't seen but like one other yacht. There's nobody out here. I can't understand how these sailing channels, I mean, they're like on this beaten path somehow, because there's boaters all around them. They're going to parties and shit. I haven't met a single, we don't get invited for sundowners. There's nobody yachting anywhere around the fucking world, I'm telling you. Oh, it's getting long. Okay. Yeah, so get out here. I mean, get on the water, and you got to build your own boat to do it. Don't be a fucking pussy, you know, because you're going to get fucked if you don't, because you won't know shit about anything. And don't start a fucking sailing channel, because you have nothing to say. You've got nothing important to tell anybody. You know, who fucking cares? Okay, I'm really starting to rant. And that's why I started this channel, is because nobody knows shit about anything. It's bothering me. Okay, good night. Love y'all.